Drew, the Bulldog football coaches, take the podium. We'll go down the list.
Go ahead and start.
Yeah, you want to just give your opening thoughts?
Yeah, before I give our opening thoughts on football, I would like to congratulate our women's volleyball team. Did a great job starting off this weekend, 2-1. Also, I was in attendance Friday for our soccer team taking on a ranked UCLA team. It was a great atmosphere, had a great turnout in the crowd, and that was fun to see. I thought we competed well against a ranked team, even though we didn't get it done. And then to see Nick Watney win yesterday was real fun. So I think it's a great weekend for Bulldog sports, and we're looking forward to continuing that this week. We've had a very competitive camp. We're really looking forward to having an opponent to line up against. To have Weber State come in here is going to be a great challenge. I don't know how many people here know they went into Wyoming in their opening game a year ago. Well, went on the road. Wyoming was a bowl participant last year. I believe they won 8 games in the Mountain West last year, and they were trailing with 30 seconds left against Weber State in that game that they eventually won 35-32. Weber State has 14 starters returning from that team, including their quarterback, who had a heck of a year, threw for over 2,000 yards. So we know our guys have a tremendous challenge. We're ready for it and ready to answer any questions you guys might have.
Do you have any idea what Weber State's going to do yet, or is it still a huge mystery?
Well, I think offensively, it's probably a little bit easier to get a handle on. They've retained the offensive coordinator. They're a multiple team. They will use some tempo, a little bit more multiple as far as personnel packages than some of the teams will play. They do a great job of mixing things up. They threw for over 200 yards a year ago, ran for over 200 yards, so a very good balanced team. I think we got a decent beat for what we think we'll see. Defensively, still a little bit of a mystery. We're looking at Washington State tape. We looked at some Weber State tape from a year ago to see personnel, but we'll have to just be able to adjust on the run.
And what goes into that, adjusting on the run? In your past experience, especially as a DC, how do you adjust to that again?
Well, what you do in training camp is you try to put guys through as many situations, personnel groupings, know how you want to adjust to different situations. So you may not have repped it this week in anticipation, but you've got that knowledge banked from maybe a couple of weeks ago in practice. The same thing, offensively. We have a package that we like running against different defenses. They change. We may have to get guys on the sideline and say, hey, look, this is what we anticipated. It's not this. Remember, back in week 2, we put this in, and go with that. So hopefully, we won't have a situation that we haven't addressed because we've ran through a ton of situations in camp.
Offensively, defensively, when you started camp and had that plan for where you wanted to be today, do you feel like you're where you needed to be or want to be today, a week before game?
Yeah, I think so. I think our coaches have done a nice job installing our systems on both sides of the ball. We still need a good week of practice to make sure we're clicking on all cylinders. But I like where we're at. I like the attitude of this team. I think we've got a little bit of a chip on our shoulder because of the way last year ended, and I think we've got some good character on this team, the guys that want to make amends for it.
Coach, you still said this morning in our interview that the kicking game is still in a competition. Do you have a starter at this point going into the first game?
We've not named a starter yet. Right now, Quentin Brashear probably leads it. We'll see how this week goes.
Now, if he comes in, misses one field goal, are you going to try him again, or do you? I mean, have you kind of game planned yourself how that's going to work?
We've talked internally, and we won't discuss outside exactly what we're going to do. I have confidence that we'll put Quentin in position, or if it's Quentin, or if it's Andrew, or if it's Dunn. We'll put them in positions where we think they should have success, and if they don't, we'll go from there.
Do you kind of look at yourself going on it for fourth down if you're in territory like 40 to the goal line, somewhere around there?
Potentially, and we've practiced those situations in camp. So you go through all those scenarios, exactly where do you get into what we call 2-down territory on offense. And where do you feel comfortable having the ball end up if you want to attempt a field goal? And so you go through those scenarios, and every kicker's a little bit different than that, and every year it's a little different depending on who you have. So we've gone through that. Like I said, I won't discuss it all right now, but we've gone through those.
Outside
Coach,
of that,
how-
it looks like the most uncertainty was the offensive line and shuffling center and guard spots. Have you decided there, and are you moving forward for this game week with the
Well,
plan?
yeah, right now, Lars Bramer's done a nice job in camp. He's really improved from last spring, and so what we've done the last week and a half or so is we've moved Lars into to the starting role as center, which has done a couple things for us. It's allowed Richard Helapico, who I think is probably a better natural guard for us, to move to guard. Bo Bonheim's done a nice job at guard, but he's probably more of a natural center. And so that puts him in that position and gives us some good depth there at the center position. We've been repping Matt Hunt at the other guard spot. And then Mike Sines and James Layout both are learning and coming on. So it's still going to be a little bit of a flux in there, but I like our depth a lot better where we're at right now than we were coming out of spring.
How excited are you, Coach? First game, first season,
This is
first.
a trick question. I'm like, I can't wait. I wish we could line up today, although I do know we do need a good week of practice. I'm sure I won't be sleeping a whole lot on Friday night, just in anticipation of walking down that ramp and seeing our guys for the first time against an opponent. I really believe our team will feel that same enthusiasm and energy, and hopefully it will be something infectious that our fans will really appreciate as well.
Coach, any other specific adjustments that you feel need to be made before the home opener this Friday?
Adjustments?
Yeah. And the depth chart.
Oh, no, the kicking situation's probably the biggest one. We've got some guys who are dinged up a little bit right now, and so we'll see how they go through practice. But those are going to be day-to-day situations. Like I said, we've probably got about 15 guys on either side of the football that we feel pretty good about right now.
Coach, Robbie hasn't been picking up too much during the scrimmages. You've been kind of like, hey, we want to keep you back, make sure you're healthy, fresh. How much does he go this week in practice?
Well, he'll go just like we always have. What we've limited Robbie has been our live scrimmages where we're tackling to the ground. He's gone live when we've done drill work. He's gone live when we've done smaller versions of the competitions, and he's handled it well. I don't worry about number 8. He's going to be ready to go, and we just want to make sure that he's there ready to go. So I'm excited to see him actually get a chance to turn it loose for an entire game.
Moving Travis to the inside,
Mhm.
got him listed as a starter there now. Talk about why that move was made and what he's done to earn that.
Well, I'll tell you, Travis didn't have the advantage of going through spring ball last year, so he was a little bit behind the curve learning-wise coming into the fall camp. He and Sean Plummer were competing. Sean's had a great spring and a great fall camp, but Travis is a guy that we felt we got to find a way to get on the field. And in our package, we want to get our 4 best linebackers on the field. And analyzing that, I thought Travis was one of those 4, and I think that he fits our Mike position probably better than he did as a Sam. And so to be able to have Sean and Travis on at the same time, we feel good about it. So I think he could be very, very productive for us. I think the last week or so that we've had him in there, he's really become more productive, and he's starting to feel much more comfortable than he had at the outside linebacker position. So I think that's been a good move, and Coach Toth has done a good job getting him coached up in a hurry.
And Toma physically, how would you assess what he is now?
He's still dinged up, and so that move was also to shore up just depth-wise right there. We'll see how it goes this week. Right now, it would be nice to have Travis and Jeremiah in there, but we've got a lot of confidence in Patrick Sua. We've got a lot of confidence in Carl Mickelson, and Tyree has had a nice camp. He's got to get a little bit more consistent, but we've got some guys in there that can play.
On special teams, Coach, I know that you were thinking about putting Robbie back on kickoffs, maybe in punt returns. Is he your leading guy right now, or is it Isaiah Burse, or is it Rashad Evans?
Rashad has been a little dinged up with his shoulder. He's practicing with us. He's been limited contact. We'll see how that goes during the week. If he's healthy, he's probably our #1 punt returner. Robbie is in the mix, but he's not going to be our starter at any of those right now today as we speak. He could, depending on how things play out. IB is going to be our starting kickoff return guy.
How explosive do you think that part of the game is going to be? Special teams has been known, Fresno State, whether blocking punts or trying to return kicks, that's been almost like their staple. How much do you want to make sure that that's continuing that way?
Absolutely. That's a huge emphasis for us. I think Pete Germano and guys who are working with our special teams are doing a great job of teaching the return, whether it's been the kickoff return or the punt return. And we've got some guys that have the explosive play capability. And so, I like what IB does when the ball's in his hands. He's a gritty guy, can make guys miss. Robbie's that same way, and so is Rashad. So, and we've got a few other guys that we can plug in there. But it's not just one guy beating 11. We've got to make sure we've got guys who have that special teams one-play mentality where I'm going to bust my tail from 5 to 8 seconds, more so than that guy across from me. And if we can get those guys buying into that mentality, for one play, I'm going to kick someone's tail so that IB or Rashad or Robbie can make a big-time play, we'll be all right. I think our guys are getting that.
Has it been difficult to balance wanting the best players on special teams, yet dealing with maybe a lack of depth in your starting 22?
Yes and no, but our message to our players is if you're tired, you're taking a rep off of offense or defense. And special teams is where games are won and lost. And so I want a guy who is going to be fresh and ready to go on that special teams play, because that's where explosive plays can happen. And so I think because of our heritage here at Fresno State, that guys understand the importance of it. That hasn't been real hard to teach. And we've got some guys that take it very, very seriously. And so, I think we're doing a good job in coaching it, and I think guys are going to man up and decide, hey, on this play, I'm going to do my job, and I think that'll allow us to have some big time plays. If that makes them tired for the next rep of offense or defense, we'll have somebody else get in there.
How do you think that the changes in special teams this year, the return to the 25 and 5-yard head start, those things will affect the game?
Well, I think kicking off from the 35 obviously is going to have less opportunities for returns. It's a very violent play. When you have high-speed collisions, obviously there's potential for injury, so I think that's probably a positive for the game. The 5-yard restraining line, I don't know that that's a major deal one way or the other. A couple of the interesting ones are going to be the traditional or semi-traditional bloop kick or an onside attempt where you drive the ball immediately into the ground and the ball goes up in the air. That is going to be treated as just a live kick, like it never hit the ground. You can either fair catch that, and even if you don't, you have to give that guy a 1-yard halo in order to give him an attempt to catch it. So even if that ball goes 10 yards on that type of a kick, you can't go compete for it. So it's changed the way, strategy-wise, we're not having our kickers attempt to do that anymore. I think that takes that out of the game. And so now what you've got to do is do your old school traditional, try to scoot it across the ground and maybe the 3rd or 4th bounce, have it roll on up. Some of those definitely affected. They're trying, in my opinion, to maybe legislate a little bit out of the onside kick because that too is a dangerous play.
Coach, how big of a blow was it to lose David Keller?
Depth-wise, but we're going to talk about guys that want to be Bulldogs. We've got enough guys in that room that it's important to, and we're fired up about those guys.
Fair enough.
What would be the ideal way for the team to perform in the season opener?
The ideal way for us to perform?
Yeah.
We've talked about being fast, physical, and fanatical. I hope by the way we play that's the 3 terms that resonates with our fans and with our coaching staff. In any phase of the game, if we're playing fast, if we're playing physically, and we're playing with a fanaticism, I'll be happy with our effort. Obviously you got to be clean and you got to take care of the football and create takeaways. But if we do those things, I think we'll be successful.
Do you see this team being able to create more turnovers this year? Because that obviously.
Absolutely, we have to. Not, hope to, we have to. We have to get 20-plus takeaways this year. I think we've got guys capable of doing it. We've done a pretty good job in camp. Derek hasn't thrown as many picks, but some of our younger guys, we've done a pretty good job of getting interceptions, and we haven't done a whole lot of live tackling, so you're not going to see as many, but our guys are becoming ball hawks, and that's going to be stressed every single week in practice, and then obviously during the games.
One of those guys is right here. Having him and Duran both back, I mean, you watched the games at the end of last year. How big a difference is that to have those two guys on the field?
It's night and day. I truly believe Philip's got a chance to play at the next level. He's a guy that brings a lot of playmaking ability to our defense. Our guys rally around him. He's got an infectiousness to him that spreads to other guys having fun. And when you play defense, you gotta have fun. You gotta have that train wreck mentality that I want to go into somebody else's backyard, break all their toys, and then leave. And that's kind of his mentality. Have mom chase you out of the yard because you ruined all the stuff. To me, that's what defense is. And I think Patrick has that mentality, and if we can get everybody playing that way, we'll be all right.
Coach, now that you're on the precipice of the first game, and obviously done with camp and everything, is there anything the team has shown you that you didn't see or maybe didn't expect to see when you started in the spring?
Well, we're definitely in much, much better shape. Coach Bose and his staff have done a great job. And our kids have taken advantage of that coaching and worked their tails off. I like where we're at from a conditioning standpoint. I also think that translates into mental toughness. And so from those two standpoints, conditioning and mental toughness, I think we're a lot further along. And of course, having, by the time Saturday gets here, 29 additional practice opportunities as opposed to just the 15, I think it makes a big difference. I think our guys are playing without thinking, and that's the key.
Coach, there's usually a pregame speech. How much have you thought about that because it'll be your first one? Or do you
I got to do that?
Yeah, you got to do that. Or do you feel like you even have to do that since it's the first one? Where do you are you standing in the mirror practicing?
Do I have cameras in my house?
You could.
Okay.
It's Fresno.
No.
Oh.
I've thought about it, obviously. Again, to me, my charge to our team is the same that it's been since day one. We've got to play with our three tenets: fast, physical, and fanatical. If we'll do that with energy and be smart about taking care of the ball and getting takeaways, that's going to be our message. And it doesn't matter who we play. That's how we're going to play. And so, hopefully we won't have okay, let's play to this team this week because we perceive them to be good, and we don't have to play, BS. We hold ourselves to our own standard, and we'll do that every single week. That'll be our charge, and see if we get that done.
Coach, any specific thoughts on this year's non-conference schedule?
We open up obviously with Weber State, and that's who we've been concentrating on, and we'll worry about those next ones later. We looked at our first four opponents back in June and got preliminary game plans on those guys based on what they did a year ago. Obviously, as we get tape from this year, we'll adjust those plans, but right now, our total focus, as it has been since last Thursday, has been on Weber State. And, we're not worried so much anymore. We're out of camp mode now. Now we're in the Weber State week.
You ever been a part of scheduling where there's 11 straight weeks, 10 straight weeks where there's without a bye?
Mm-hmm. When I was at the Air Force Academy, I believe we played 12 straight weeks in all 3 years. So,
So not a big deal.
no, not at all. Maybe you'd like to in the middle just so you can get some more recruiting done, but from as far as players and coaches standpoint, I think both players and coaches can be creatures of habit, and so you get into a routine, and guys know how to get things done academically with their schedule. They know Monday this is what the practice is going to be like, and then Tuesday, Wednesday are going to be like this, and then Thursday. I think that's kind of good as opposed to when you get into an off week and it kind of throws your schedule off a little.
You spent parts of the off season touring the valley, meeting people. what kind of reception do you see this team and yourself getting for the season opener?
I think people have been fantastic. I think they're anxious to see us do some different things. We've had a great legacy here. A year ago, obviously we weren't up to that, and so, I think our players sense that. But everywhere I've gone, I've sensed, our fans excited about this year, excited about our guys, excited to see Philip Thomas back, to see Derek, to see Robbie. I see a great anticipation out there, and we're hoping to live up to that.
How do you calm their level of intensity? Obviously they're going to be a little juiced up more than
I don't
so.
want to calm the level
So
of
you
intensity. Absolutely.
to make
I want
sure
our guys playing with their hair on fire. And so, you got to be smart. You can't be so emotional that you can't think. But I want our guys right on that edge, so that it doesn't matter. Someone's lined up across me with a different colored jersey, I'm going after them, and that's how I want our guys playing.
Does that really coincide with what you've been saying about playing with fanaticism?
Absolutely. Philip knows our definition of fanatical effort, but it's playing right on that edge. It is playing at a level that it's that maximum level of speed or strain to the end of a play, and not jogging them through something, but just absolutely giving it your all from the time that ball is snapped till that whistle's blown.
Coach, let's say it all works out the way you want it to, and you're in the fourth quarter, and you're up comfortably. It's your first game as head coach at Fresno State. Is there a sense that you might want to make a statement? You might want to bring a little bit of a swagger back? What's your personal philosophy as far as how you're going to handle your first game, and if everything goes well, is the statement, does it need to be made?
I don't you worry about statements, to be honest with you, Dave. We're going to play. We're going to play. Every single snap we get an opportunity to have someone opposite us, we're going to play as hard as we possibly can. All we hope to do at the end of the game is have our guys having fun because we won that football game. And we don't care if it's 2-0 or 70-69. We're just going to find a way to win football games is our plan.
Do you think we'll see Greg Watson at all? Is there a set of plays for him?
We plan on having great play. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Coach, what are your expectations for the open tryout tonight?
I don't know. You have these. Sometimes a guy like Tristan Aqualago shows up and you get a diamond in the rough. I usually don't set my expectations real high. I don't know that Andrew Luck's going to be there this afternoon when we go out. But we'll see. I believe we've got 9 young men coming out to try out.
Is that something you scheduled based on some need, or is that something you plan to do?
I want to do that every year. We've got some spots on the roster to have guys fill in. I always think it's kind of neat to have people from the student body feel a bigger connection to our school. And there's a lot of guys up in the stands that say, "Hey, I could be doing that." Well, come on out and show us. We'd love to see. And some can. But I think it's a neat interaction. When I was in College Station, we did it, and we had guys on our 12th man kickoff team. And so, like I said, it's a neat thing to have guys from the campus that weren't necessarily recruited to get an opportunity to see if they're good enough. And if they are, we'll put them on the roster.
Any final questions for Coach?
You a little concerned about putting your undefeated head coaching record on the line this weekend?
I'll be concerned every single weekend. Absolutely. I was going to retire January 2nd, but then they reminded me I had this gig. So I'll have to live life with on that chance that someday I may lose a game. So we'll see. Anything else?